review first. So when we're adding and subtracting fractions, first thing that we have to do from yesterday, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, what's the first thing we got to do? Find a common denominator. Yes, ma'am.
You recording this?
Yes, I am.
Or YouTube?
We never do this
Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to find a common denominator. Okay, all right, and that might be for two fractions if we're adding or subtracting two fractions. It might be for three fractions. We had a problem yesterday where we added and subtracted three fractions. Okay, same thing. Find a common denominator for all of those. Okay, then step number 2 says we're going to rewrite each of those fractions that we're adding and or subtracting using that common denominator. Okay. Then, what do we say? So now we've got equivalent fractions, all with the common denominators. So all of our downstairs are the same. All of our basements are the same. All of our bottoms are the same. Now, what? Okay, or I should say and. What part of the fraction? Numerator, the top part. Yep, okay. So we add or subtract the whole parts. That's the numbers up front. We're dealing with mixed numbers. And we add or subtract the fraction parts. All while keeping what? Keep the denominator the same. Okay. Then what? At the very end, so now we've added, we've subtracted, we've done everything, we've got our, and I'm going to use air quotes here, we've got our answer. What do we have to do? We got to reduce that fraction to its lowest terms. Always reduce your fractions. Okay? Always reduce your fractions. Some people on the last couple of homeworks haven't been reducing. One of them was like 3 2/4 was the answer. I don't remember what the actual number was up front, but the 3 2/4 is nice, but it's not a fraction in lowest terms because 2/4 can be reduced to 1/2. Okay? So we're always reducing our fractions. Okay? All right, let's put this to work. Let's put those. We've planned our work. Now let's work our plan. So in number 1, step number 1 says, do we have a common denominator? In number 1?
Yes.
In number 1, we have a common denominator because the denominator on the bottom is the same. Okay? So step number 1 is done for us. We can say that we have a least common denominator of 8 because it already is. So step number 1 is done, which means step number 2 is done. And we don't have to adjust our fractions to make equivalent fractions because we're already in common denominator form. Okay? Step number 3 then says I got to do what? Subtract the whole numbers, right? Okay, we don't have whole numbers to subtract. So then, numerator. So 7 minus 2 is what I'm looking at here. 7 minus 2 is how much? 5. And then that's going to be still over our common denominator. That's the second half of step 3. Okay? And then what do we have to do? YouTube. Not going to happen today. Okay? Jesus, you don't look at Adrian. Adrian, you don't look at Jesus. Not going to happen today. I'm not dealing with you two getting the giggles because you can't realize that we're in high school. Okay? Last step. What do we got to do? Can we reduce 5 over 8? No, because there's nothing that goes into both 5 and 8 evenly, so we are just left with 5/8. We don't have an answer blank, so we're going to put a big old circle around it. Okay? Now, just so you know, the line that says LCD is not the answer line. That's something different. Okay? So the answer here is 5/8. The least common denominator is 8. Okay? Number 2. What can we do in number 2? Put a 1 under the 6? Okay. And then what can we do with that? So what's our common denominator? 8. Okay. All right. So we said we were going to make this be over 1, you said, and our least common denominator is 8. So what is 6 in terms of 8s? 48/8? Everybody agree with him? Yeah, because 6 times 8, we multiplied the bottom by 8. So we got to multiply the top by 8. So then this is 48/8. This one's going to stay 3/8. Okay. 48 minus 3. 45 over 8. Anything that goes into 45 and 8. 8 doesn't go into 45. No, it doesn't. No, it goes into 40. Yep. So that's it. Okay. Or we can write it as what? What would the whole number part be? How many 8s go into 45? 4 would only be 32. 5 would be 40, right? Okay. So 5, and what's left over? 5/8. Either one of those. Yeah? Kind of want to do number 3 here. Okay? So number 3, if we would do this, one way that we could do this is we could take these whole numbers and we could subtract them. What is 4 minus 2? It's going to be 2. Okay? Then we've still got the 1/2 minus 3/4. So the first one becomes 2 over 4. Okay. Negative 1/4. Okay, I would agree with that. But this 2 is still hanging out here. So what is 2 plus negative 1/4? Because we can't have that negative sign's got to go in front of the 2. And it doesn't make the whole thing be negative because we're not multiplying. What do you got? 1 3/4? Okay, how'd you do that? Yep. So that would become how many fourths? No, 2 is how many fourths? 8 fourths. Yep. So we're going to make a second problem up here where we're going to say that 2, here I'll write it like this, 2 plus negative 1/4 is going to be 8/4 plus negative 1/4. 8 plus negative 1 is? 8 plus negative 1 is 7. That's still going to be over 4. Or, as a mixed up number, 4 goes into 7 one time with a leftover of 3. So there's a little bit extra when borrowing. Okay. Oops, that's a minus sign. Capital raise. So then we have here, we've got 1 minus 0. What is 1 minus 0? That's just going to be 1. And then we've got purple. 3/4 minus 1/3. Okay, 3/4 minus 1/3. You guys do that one for me quick. Tell me what 3/4 minus 1/3 is. Do that. You can do it off to the side, or you can do it right there underneath it. 3/4 minus 1/3. Question or tell me what it is. Okay, let's just wait. All right, walk me through it. What's my common denominator for 3/4 minus 1/3? 12. So it's over 12. 4 times what gets me 12? 3. So 3 times 3 would be 9. 3 times what is 12? 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay. 9 minus 4. That's 5. Over 12. And that's still going to be over 12, because that's my common denominator, yep. Okay. 1, now we got to bring that 1 into it. Oops, that breaks. Sorry about that. Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So 1 and 5/12 would be our answer. A little bit, yep. Okay. We're going to finish this one first, though. Okay. What would another way to do this same problem be that might make it, some people might think it's a little easier? What would another way to do this problem? Or even the last problem? Yep. What's another way to do that? What's another way to add them all up? Or in this both cases, subtract them. What's another way to do the same problem? You guys have done it already today. Number 2.
Oh, yeah.
What's another way to do these problems? Especially ones when you've got mixed up numbers.
I'll throw one of these.
Shh. Go ahead. We can change it to an improper fraction, and then it becomes like a number 1 type problem. Okay? Right? So if that mixed number way is a little confusing for you, you can always change it to an improper fraction first, and then get your common denominators from there. And you don't have to worry about the whole numbers or anything like that. Okay? So we can always do it that way too. Okay? So Jimmy's mom ordered too much pizza for his birthday party. After all of the kids ate, there was still half of a cheese pizza, 3/4 of a sausage pizza, and 2/3 of a pepperoni pizza remaining. How much pizza was left over? How much pizza was left over? What kind of a problem is this going to be? It's an addition problem. What are we going to be adding?
All of them up together.
What are we going to be adding?
The amount of
What are we going to be adding?
Oh,
numbers. Awesome.
you gotta add a word.
I gotta add all the numbers. So 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Hey! I'm doing what you told me to do. Correct? You told me to add up all the numbers, so I'm literally adding up all the numbers. Okay? So, back now, what do we have to do? Nora. What we don't have a common denominator first, we don't even have a problem yet. We gotta write down a problem before we can even start this. Say it louder now, without the mumble part. So write out the problem. 1/2 plus 3/4 plus 2/3. Okay? You have to write that out before you can start. Okay? You have to write that out before you can start. Okay? Now, from here, now you can go and you can work your steps. So please, at this time, add me 1/2 plus 3/4 plus 2/3. Oh yeah. How many 12ths is 1/2? 6. Because 2 times 6 gets me 12. So 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? How many 12ths is 3/4? 9, because 4 times 3 gets me 12, so 3 times 3 gets me 9. How many 12ths is 2/3? Multiplied by 4, so then it becomes 8. Yep. Okay. Now that we have common denominators, we can add and add all of those tops. 6 plus 9 is 15, plus 8 is 23. And that is still over 12.
Are we gonna make it like a whole number?
Does it become a whole number?
Like one fraction?
That's mixed number.
Can we do that?
Yep. What'd you get for yours? 1 and 11/12?
And
Now-
I got it.
Because this is a word problem, we should probably throw a label on there too. What do we have? What were we finding in this problem? What? Pizza. So we got 23/12 or 1 and 11/12 pizza. Huh? Okay. So today you've got a B7 worksheet. It has two-sided. Luckily, we put on these arrows too because some people are forgetting to do the back sides of all of these. Okay? So we've got the next 7 minutes to be working on this.